Welcome, vanakkam, good morning. Greetings to everyone. Early this morning, I woke up from sleep with a very peculiar dream. In that dream, I saw Arvind Kejriwal, the former Chief Minister of Delhi, desperately ringing up his advocate, asking him to move an application with the Supreme Court for the cancellation of his bail. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who represents Arvind Kejriwal, was naturally quite shocked to get that phone call from Arvind, and Arvind sounded desperate. He began to plead with immoderate earnestness with Abhishek Manu Singhvi that an application be moved forthwith, urging, pleading, supplicating the Supreme Court to cancel the bail bond of Arvind and to grant him permission to become a permanent resident of Tihar jail. So Abhishek Manu Singhvi pressed Arvind Kejriwal for an explanation as to why he wanted to take this most unusual and desperate step. For after all, Abhishek had to take enormous pains to secure the bail for Arvind Kejriwal. All of us know that it's not easy to get bail in a case like this, particularly with such heavy political odds stacked against him. And given also the evident eagerness of the CBI as well as the ED to ensure the permanent retention of Kejriwal in Tihar jail. So, Abhishek Manu Singhvi was struck by the complete congruence of interest and purpose between Kejriwal and CBI, between Kejriwal and ED. Till the other day, ED and CBI wanted Kejriwal to be kept in Tihar jail, whether or not his presence there was required for the smooth and sufficient investigation of the case, particularly in unearthing evidence that does not exist, how the continued imprisonment of the accused is necessary to unearth evidence that actually does not exist, is a legal, juridical, investigative mystery that I'm not competent enough to comment upon. Anyway, Abhishek was completely flummoxed that overnight Kejriwal, ED, and CBI all happen to or all have come to sharing the same goal, namely that Kejriwal should be allowed to continue in Tihar jail for the years to come. So Abhishek said, yes, I'll certainly move the Supreme Court. But when I move the court, I have to make a plea. And the plea has to state the grounds. I'm a lawyer and I take my profession seriously. I don't want to seem to be absurd. Till the other day, I was fighting a heroic battle for your release, for securing your bond, to enlarge you on bond. And now I have to go back within a day or two, go back to the same court and plead the honorable judges to revoke their mercy and to show you a completely different mercy in allowing you to return to Tihar. So then, with some reluctance, Arvind Kejriwal said to Abhishek Manu Singhvi, well, since you are my lawyer, and traditionally the dictum is that you should tell the whole truth to your lawyer and to your doctor. Because these two people hold the reins of your life in their hands, so therefore never lie or hold back the truth from these two professionals. So you are my lawyer, therefore I'll tell you the truth. He said, ever since, I said, of course I was very happy to be enlarged on bail, and I came back home and I thoroughly enjoyed, and I nearly wept with joy as I entered my house. I touched the feet of my parents and I embraced my wife. I was so happy to come back to my home, to be with the family again. But within minutes of my being out of the jail, the media started its regular routine work. They started hounding me. That, of course, I could put up with up to a point, because by now I have got inured to it, I'm used to it. So if the media does not harass me, then I'll feel out of place. I feel that my importance is lost. So that is all right. But when on the next day, I made the announcement that I am planning to resign the Chief Minister's post, resign as the Chief Minister of Delhi, all the political parties, including the BJP, I can understand the BJP, but even the Congress, which is part of the Indie coalition, started barking at me. Till I announced my my decision to resign the office, I was being taunted, ridiculed, attacked for holding on to the office of the Chief Minister, because I am supposed to be addicted to power. So even when I was in Tihar, I continued to be the Chief Minister of Delhi. I tried to discharge such duties as I could. And then I was criticized roundly for my addiction to power and my lack of shame in holding on to an office to which I could not do any justice. And no matter how I explained the rationale for my doing so, no one would take my explanation seriously. No one was convinced. At least no one in public pretended to be convinced. I endured my infamy and my humiliation. And I thought that one day I'll be vindicated. But when I came back on bail, leaving Tihar, I knew forever, because after all, I know I'm completely innocent. And I would never have to go back to Tihar on the basis of the charges leveled against me, at least. I thought I was bidding goodbye to Tihar forever. Therefore, when I came out of Tihar, I felt a little emotional, sentimental. Having spent about 6 months there, I got attached to the people there. There are some nice people inside Tihar. In fact, now I am inclined to think that people inside Tihar are a lot nicer than people outside of it. So, when I was criticized for holding on to the office of the Chief Minister, attributing that to my motive of wanting to perpetuate my hold or grip on power, I could stomach it up to a point. But now that I have announced my intention to resign, I am being criticized and damned all the more, because some vague motive of which I am utterly unaware is being attributed to it. And everybody is freaking at me, including the Congress. And there is a peculiar character called Sandeep Dixit, who is supposed to represent Congress for reasons only known to himself. What contributions he has done to the welfare of the Congress, the strengthening of the party, and to increase the electoral fortunes of the Congress in the National Capital Region, everybody knows. But he seems to be most delighted, gleeful, ecstatic, jubilant at my humiliation. So I have now realized that the people inside Tihar are much better as human beings than people outside of it. And that I can lead a much more peaceful, dignified life a life of thinking, a life of creativity, a life of reading, a life of leisure, a life of self-respect, a life protected from this regular, routine, unrelenting harassment by the media, by all political parties, by the bureaucracy, by everyone who matters, and maybe somebody from my own party, a few people here and there, people who are perhaps coveting the office of the chief minister, whatever it is. I consider this to be an extremely unedifying situation. Very unpleasant, harshly unpleasant, certainly not conducive to human dignity. And therefore, now that I am able to compare one situation with another, I've come to the absolute and clear conviction that life inside Tihar is much better and far more desirable and to be desired than life outside of it. And therefore, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, I'm very grateful to you for fighting my battle most heroically, and you are a very, very eminent, efficient lawyer. I could not have possibly got anyone better than this, and you got me the relief that I needed then. And therefore, I come back to you with the request, folded hands. Please now get for me the relief I need now. Then I needed relief from Tihar jail. Now I need relief from the world outside Tihar jail. So please move a petition before the honorable judges. They seem to be men of some heart, some sense of justice. So I'm sure that you will succeed in this endeavor as well. And please state my case as clearly and conclusively, compellingly as possible, because I cannot think of continuing in the world outside Tihar for even one day more. Please obtain for me the permission to return to my Tihar. Oh, my Tihar. Oh, my Tihar. Now, this actually was like a jolt, and I woke up from my sleep. And the hangover of this dream remained with me for quite some time. That's the reason why I did not start recording this video right away. But then I began to think, and I realized that there was a comparable situation in the novel, the classic novel by Victor Hugo, titled Les Miserables. There, a very famous character called Jean Valjean was convicted. He tried to jump jail and he's caught again, then his punishment is multiplied, but eventually he finishes his term and he is come out of the jail. But as he comes out of the jail, he finds, to his great shock, that nobody in the society is willing to accept him. There is no place for him as the ex-convict in this fashionable and moral society of France. Of course, ultimately, by a masterstroke of accident, he ambles into the house of that saintly bishop, his name being Charles Francois Myriel. The full name is Charles Francois Bienvenu Myriel. A little tongue-twisting name. By the way, Bienvenu means welcome. The distinctive feature of this bishop is that he'll welcome everyone. He'll never shut his door or even gate against anyone. And that's how Jean Valjean was able to get into his house. He would keep his gate and door entrance to the house also open, so anyone could come and find refuge in his house. And that is the only place that was willing to welcome him. So Jean Valjean, like Arvind Kejriwal, felt more at home in the prison than in the society of France. Of course, he doesn't return. he doesn't return to the jail, that is Jean Valjean, and he decides to strike it out. Fortunately, some happy, favorable circumstances aid him, and he proves a great success. And how he succeeds and all is a long story. I don't want to bore you with those details. So, this particular dream and the predicament of Kejriwal makes me think and think seriously about what our society has come to. It's a very sad reflection. Where is humanity to be found? Inside the jail or outside of it? If you have a brother, would you like him to be in the shoes of Arvind Kejriwal? He has been investigated, interrogated for more than 2 years, and not a shred of evidence has been found against him. And yet he has been in jail for more than 6 months. And when he was in jail and his attempts to secure bail failed, BJP said, well, the fact that he was not getting bail proves that he is guilty. And this used to be said day in and day in and day out. When he was enlarged on bail, the spokesperson of the same party said, well, the fact that he got bail does not mean that he is not guilty. It's bail with many conditionalities attached to it, as though there are bails without conditions. Every bail has conditions attached to it. So you are damned either way. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't do. You're damned if you don't get bail. You're also damned even more if you get bail. That's the sanity that exists in the so-called moral society about which we are so proud. That's extremely unfortunate. This sort of studied, deliberate, malignant cruelty towards a fellow human being, the shameless delight exhibited in the humiliation inflicted on a man of good intentions, about which I am completely convinced, is an indictment of what our society, the political society, has come to, what our political culture has come to. The irony in the predicament of Arvind Kejriwal and his team, Manish Sisodia, etc., all of them now out on bail, is that they did good. They did good to the people of Delhi. They provided good governance to the people of Delhi. How Delhi has improved under the watch of the Aam Aadmi Party. The BJP kept talking about good governance. Aam Aadmi kept providing good governance. The difference is appalling. And the reason why the BJP finds it absolutely essential to knock Aam Aadmi Party out of the political line altogether, so that the people of India may not have a standard by which to judge the claims and pretensions offered by various other parties. I have no hesitation in saying this, and even if I get into serious trouble, I will say this. There's the one party that tries to vindicate the promises it makes to voters and citizens, and does not waver from the promises made to the extent possible. We are not living in a perfect world, therefore everything may not be possible. But I'm happy if a party makes a serious enough, determined effort to vindicate the promises made, and not to say after winning the elections that, oh, it was a joke. We have a sense of humor, therefore we were cracking jokes in making those pre-election promises to you. Aam Aadmi Party is the one party that does not do it. And that's also the reason why people like Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, etc. are in serious trouble. That revolution that Manish Sisodia has brought about in the educational scenario of Delhi is a saga. It's an epic story in itself. And I believe he must be given the Nobel Prize for the work in education that he has done, Manish Sisodia. So I'm not surprised that, like in my dream, Arvind Kejriwal wants to move an application with the Supreme Court of India for permission to return to Tihar jail and to make it his permanent residence. Well, it's only a dream. I don't know to what extent dreams correspond to reality. Both Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung would say yes, dreams are a better reflection of reality than whatever a person says consciously. Uh, Maybe they have a point, but I thought I'd share this experience with you. And I sincerely hope that Arvind Kejriwal would not move this application, because all said and done, there are tens and thousands of people, I dare say millions of people in Delhi, in Punjab, in other parts of the country, even in Kerala, who think of him with utmost respect and boundless affection. Affection. In my own family circles, there are many people who have had nothing to do with Delhi, who only heard about the good work that the Aam Aadmi Party is doing there, who look up to Arvind Kejriwal almost like the political savior of India. In Kerala, not anywhere else. And they were actually depressed when Kejriwal was arrested and put in prison. So, I wish him well. I wish the people of Delhi well. I wish all my fellow countrymen, my fellow citizens, my brothers and sisters in this wonderful country, all the very best. Jai Hind.